We mentioned it. Let's get into it. Technical SEO. This is one of the biggest things that we're seeing right now, making things better or worse. Okay. This involves the practice of optimizing both the structure and the back-end elements of your website to improve its ranking in search engines. The focus is on ensuring that your site meets all the basic requirements that the engines are looking for getting them indexed and crawling properly. It's crucial, honestly, for your overall SEO strategy as it lays the foundation of your site's search engine visibility. If your site's got broken links, if Google can't access it, if pages are down or broken, if if images are broken or not working, if it's not compatible with for mobile, for example, all of these things can have major impacts on your ability to rank. Don't think it can't happen. And a lot of times, this stuff is not visible to the average user. They're behind the scenes stuff going on. And you have to use a tool, so we got an audit tool maybe to work with it. But if it has significant impact or technical issues, it can seriously impact the ability for you to get ranked. And regular audits and maintenance are going to be essential to keep up with the evolving algorithms and the basic standards that each of the major engines are looking for. Now, there's a bunch of key aspects here that we're talking about. We're going to get into 5 of them in particular in this session: website speed and performance, page experience and core vitals, structured data markup, security or SSL, and image optimization. Those are 5 of big technical things that we see a lot of. If you're doing these bad or you're not meeting the proper goals that Google wants, you're not going to rank well. Okay, so we're going to get into those items in a minute. But other things, mobile friendliness. We talked about this. We've been talking about mobile friendliness forever. But if your site does not look good, is not responsive on mobile, doesn't function the same on mobile devices, your site is going to have a really hard time ranking. Google is a mobile-first index. So Google judges you on what you present to users on the mobile device. So you can be super fast and snappy on a desktop, but if you're slow and lethargic on a mobile device, you are not going to rank well. So you have to be mobile friendly. Your site's got to be crawlable. The bot's got to be able to find stuff easily and make sure they can get to the pages of your website. And this may be involved in your robots.txt files, sitemaps, other ways to kind of let Google know about your URLs and your websites and your images and so on. Your website's architecture and how you navigate. It's got to be logical, clear, and make it easy to get around, find stuff. I mean, this is one of the things I was mentioning with that other client that I've got that I said the site's really bad. It's really hard to find stuff. Really hard to find stuff. Like, even though it's laid out, it's just not laid out well. And it doesn't say very much. It's very difficult to find what you're looking for. And that can be a major problem for them. So you want to have in your URLs, you want your URLs to look good too. This is a problem that I have with a legal client of mine who has had a website for like 15 years. He's well known. He does pretty well, but always trying to do better. But his site has a bunch of technical issues. Bunch of them. It's slow. There's too many items loading up, third-party scripts that have to go off-site to get information from it. His URLs are shoved in with a ton of keywords and URLs without really organizing them properly. They're kind of all over the map. Some are good, some are bad. It's a nightmare. It's a mess. And the structure it's ugly. It doesn't work right. It's got to be clean. It's got to be easy to find. It's got to make sense. And where it makes sense, you also do want to include relevant keywords. But be consistent in how you do that. So, for example, if you were creating, let's say you service 4 here in town, there's like 3 or 4 different counties. You got Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas County, right? So you may create a service area kind of menu item, and under that you'll have the 3 counties. Well, what does the URL look like? Probably .com/service-areas/Pinellas-County. And then service-areas/Hillsborough-County, and so on. You want to be consistent about that, but you don't want to put like Hillsborough County best physical personal injury attorney in Tampa. Like, no, that's crazy. Save that for the service area page where you're talking about you being a personal injury lawyer or a motorcycle accident injury lawyer or some other divorce lawyer or whatever it may be. So keep these things clean and structured. Canonical tags, these help you avoid duplicate content issues. Okay, so that especially this happens a lot in e-commerce sites. You look at a site like Amazon and think about how many times people search for different things in Amazon. Well, when they search for those things, the keyword that's been used gets added into the URL. And Google could find that URL. And if they found the thousands of different ways people search for the same, wound up on the same product page, they'd have millions and millions and millions of duplicate URLs in the site. Canonical tags help us tell Google what the preferred version of what the original version of the web page is. So another thing, we've had other meetups on canonical tags in the past. I'm not going to get into the details here, but be aware of them. Same thing is true with errors, 404 errors and redirection, broken links. If you got people linking to your pages and those pages are no longer there and they're just dying, but you have content, you got to manage these broken links, and you need to redirect links that are broken to new places. So this happens a lot when you build a new website. I had a consulting client a couple of years ago that came to me. They had a very big, very well-known site, over 1 million visitors a month, excuse me. And somebody talked them into redesigning their website and changing the URL. And they did not know what they were doing. They completely screwed up their URL structure. They did not know how to forward things properly. They changed everything up, and their traffic dipped by 75% almost overnight because they did not do the error and the broken links and implementing redirection for old URLs to new URLs. Again, this is a whole topic in itself, but be aware this is a technical issue. If you got broken links or errors, you need to fix them, because these are things that your users might not see because it's a link coming from somewhere else. Internal links have the same impact. If you have links on your page that go to other pages of your website that are broken, could cause major problems. You have to do audits. XML sitemaps, having the ability to tell Google where to find stuff, where your URLs are, make it easy to find them. This is particularly important for like e-commerce sites that are typically using databases to store the information. They don't have actual pages sitting on a server somewhere. So you have to make sure there's an XML sitemap that lists out the physical URL to find each and every product on that page. Internal linking, as I mentioned, it's also really smart to do internal linking. Help spread the equity of your site to other places. And the idea is you want to be able to, as people link into your page from one page to the other, they go deeper into your website. They find information. You want to be able to interlink your content as much as possible so that you can help people get around, help the search engines find all the different parts of your website. And just to get people to move around. When people click on your links, well, think about it. They're now looking at a second or a third page, so they spend more time on your site. They visit more pages of your website, and they don't bounce around as much. So internal linking is super important. It's an underlooked, underutilized, and easy to do thing. So if you go look at your website and you look at the content on your page, like not the menu at the top or at the bottom, but like the actual page's content. If you don't have like links in the content within the words or paragraphs pointing to other places of your site that make sense, you're losing out on the potential of a lot of value, okay? If you're international, you sell international, you have multi-locations or multiple languages for that matter, you have to make sure you're implementing href lang tags for the different languages and different regions. And there's certain ways I have a whole hour class just on multilingual and international SEO because, it's important if you're doing it. And you can't just say, okay, I'm going to have a Spanish language page, an English language page, and I'm going to use some translate tool to translate it into Spanish, right? Because other things change too. It's not just the content. Your menu's got to change on the footer and the header. Any images that you might be using got to change to use Spanish instead of English. Buttons that show up have to be changed from English to Spanish. And let's face it, if you say you speak Spanish and somebody calls into your office or chats with you and the person responding doesn't know how to speak Spanish, you're not multilingual then. So these are problems you have to address if you're doing that. And there's other things like JavaScript, your server being optimized to respond quickly. And then, like I mentioned, audits are going to be important. You need some kind of an audit tool that you can use to regularly check to see how your site is doing on all of these technical issues, all right? Each of these things I've spent a bunch of time on. I have an internal linking thing. We've got information on international SEO, on canonical tags as well. A lot of this stuff is all part of the big picture. So